Very good morning from Poland for the ICF Canoe Sprint World Cup. I'm Mally Johnson, and alongside me I'm delighted to have David Smith, Olympic gold medalist from London 2012. And we're both here to take you through the action on this busy final day of racing at the World Cup. We have 11 finals for you in this session, 4 in Olympic categories. We're racing kayaks and canoes over the 3 Olympic distances of 200, 500 and 1,000 meters. We'll also have some mixed races as well, where the men and the women will pair up. And David, we've got K1 Men 200 first, and some interesting races to look forward to after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic to be here again commentating for you all. And it's very good news to see the weather is playing kind to everyone today. And I dare say these 200-metre paddlers are going to be very happy with the smoother conditions.
They are indeed. You can see there the temperature, just 13 degrees, water temperature a little bit warm, but it's not warm out there. But the good thing is, as you said, for these paddlers, the wind has died down. We had to have a change in the program, of course, because of the wind over the last few days. A big wide course, this Malta regatta course, and once the wind gets up, it really channels down this lake. But as you said, David, these paddlers, particularly 200-metre paddlers, they want good conditions, and it is good conditions. We've seen pretty quick times earlier this morning because we've got a light tailwind, and there we've got the schedule for you. We're starting off with the K1 men 200 metres. We're going to continue with 200 metres in the C1s and K1s before moving up to 1,000 metres. So we'll start off, as I say, with the K1 men 200 metres very shortly. The smash and grab, if you like. And David, this event wasn't around, in fact, when you were paddling.
Thankfully not. I wasn't the fastest of 200-metre paddlers per se, but yeah, it came on quick within the Olympic program, and unfortunately for the 200-metre paddlers, it has been removed. But it's good to see that some of the paddlers here are still persisting with the event, because it does provide quite a good lot of action for the sport.
Yeah, it does. A lot of action for the spectators, and also a bit of preparation perhaps for some of these paddlers are hoping to be in the 500-metre crew boats at the Olympic Games in only 2 years' time. Well, we'll just take you through the lineup momentarily as we look at men's 200, as I say, just lining up right now. One, we've got Pedro Casina from Portugal in 1. Vid Jebslak from Slovenia in 2. Badri Kaviashvili in 3. Kevin Santos from Portugal in 4. Arturius Seja from Lithuania in 5. Watch for Peter Menning in 6 from Sweden. Dmitry Danielenko from Ukraine in 7. Fletcher Armstrong from Australia in 8. And Theodore Orban from Sweden in 9. They're up to the maximum speed now, and it is down to who can maintain that.
Certainly, with the Lithuanians, as always, strong 200-metre paddlers. Arturius Seja out strong, out quick.
Yeah, you could see Peter Menning didn't get perhaps away to the best start, but he has looked in fantastic form this weekend in both the mixed K2 and the earlier heats and semis, and expect him to come good and really put the Lithuanian under pressure. He does exactly that as we get to the finish line. Looks like Peter Menning perhaps had the better speed over the latter part of the race then. It looked like Seja and Santos perhaps in 2nd or 3rd place, but we will have to wait for confirmation of that.
He certainly does have a strong backhand over 200s, Peter Menning. As you can see, when he does race his 200, he's not the quickest out of the mark. He does control his stroke rate comparatively to the other 200-metre paddlers, but that provides an opportunity to have a much stronger backhand. And that's, as you can see right there, he did come through, and he might have just taken the win off the Lithuanian.
Yeah, we can just see here now going into the red boys. You're absolutely right with that technique. He paddles as if he's almost like a 1,000-metre paddler, keeping that stroke nice and long, and that worked for him towards the end of the race. Just perhaps coming through there. Menning in first, Seja in 2nd, and it looked to be like Kevin Santos, yep, from Portugal, who was 9th, I think, in the World Championships last year, so he'll be pleased to pick up a medal there, and hopefully shortly we'll see Peter Menning circle round down to the pontoon for a quick post-race interview. Well, as you said, David, no longer Olympics. A real shame that. And Sander Totka is the current Olympic champion. He'll remain so now because it's been taken out of the Olympic program.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's probably the only takeaway you can get being an Olympic champion for an event that ceases to exist. Forever and a day you will be the Olympic champion.
Well, indeed, and but Peter Menning pretty pleased with his 200 performance, and hopefully he's going to have a quick chat with Ross down there on the pontoon.
Peter, nice to be back on top of the podium.
Yeah, thanks. It's really fun to race the 200, I think. For me, it's kind of a, I don't know, throwback to, the past 12 years, and I really enjoy doing it.
As they've been saying in the commentary, it's a shame it's not in the Olympics anymore, but you still enjoy doing it, and you still find it competitive?
Yeah. I mean, today's race was really tough, and I really enjoy doing it, and I've been trying to do, really enjoy the sport for the past couple of years, because of I want to show my daughters at home that I can do something that I love and work really hard towards it, and I want to show that to them. So Lovisa, lycka, älskar er, and and to my wife, who is my coach as well, Evelina. Bra jobbat.
Well, I'm all very proud of you today, Peter. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. If they are watching, I'm sure that you are very proud of Daddy. A good win for Peter Menning. He's been there or thereabouts on the podium so often, Peter Menning, in World Cups and World Championships. There he is, top of the podium this time round. First place for him. Arturas Sea only 800ths behind in second, and Kevin Santos takes the bronze medal. Well, we'll head back up to the 200-metre start very shortly. Now, this is Olympic still, the C1 event. Who knows, perhaps as the women's C1 develops, they may well move up to 500 metres. But for now, this is an Olympic discipline, and a really exciting one as well, because we've got the likes of Du Bois, Yaroslawia Du Bois, who's been so exciting over these last 2 weekends, taking part, and we'll see her in lane 5. There's the lineup: Poland, Canada again, Cuba, China, Cuba, Great Britain and Georgia.
Very interesting field. 2 Poles, 2 Canadians, 2 Cubans, Chinese, and then a bit of an outlier, the Georgian, which I haven't seen in Seaboat quite consistently. So this is actually a really good performance to see an athlete from Georgia competing here.
Yeah, and making it through to a final in an Olympic event, it's pretty competitive. Well, we can see just the lineup. We'll line them up here. We can see in lane 1, you just saw there Magda standing. Now, Katie Vincent in lane 2, and just out of the medals earlier this morning in the C2 500 metres, but her crew only just at the very end got ahead of the other Canadian crew. So it was tight for her. She was joint second in this event last weekend. Katarina Szpeskewicz from Poland goes in 3. And then the young Sofia Jensen from Canada. So much fun. That was epic, she said, about the C4 race when they took the gold medal in that a little bit early this morning. So a really exciting prospect for the future, this one, Sofia Jensen. And then we've got Yaroslawia, another exciting paddler, Yaroslawia Du Bois from Cuba. And already a winner here in Poland in the C2 500, but she's hoping to go one better. To get another gold medal, like she did in this event in the Czech Republic last weekend. Shui Shangwen from China goes in 6. Catherine Segura, who's Du Bois' C2 partner, she'll be in 7. A little bit of an injured right hand, but she's managing okay just at the moment. Then we've got Katie Reid, Scottish paddler who was 8th at the World Championships in Copenhagen and an Olympian. Had a late call up for Tokyo, Katie, from Dunfermline. She goes in lane 8, and then Miriami Kediashvili, the Georgian, in 9. So the sea, of course, the canoe boat paddlers, David, they'll be delighted with the wind. It's very difficult, particularly if it's a crosswind, to set themselves up for the start.
Oh, certainly, and particularly with this actual regatta course here in Poznan, when you do have that really strong tailwind, as we have seen. We do have concrete walls 150 metres beyond the finish line, so that does bounce back. So when it's really strong, that last 100 metres is very bumpy. So in any form of strong wind conditions here, it's very difficult course, and particularly for the 200-metre paddlers when essentially 50% of their course is disrupted from a backwash. That's a very hard race to be dealing with.
Yeah, it is, and thankfully we've just got a light tailwind, which should make for fast times here. So there's the lineup, and this will be the final in the C1 women's 200 metres. So looked like a false start there. Chinese paddler in lane 6 just didn't seem to go anywhere. I'm not sure if she paddled too early there, or we've seen a couple of false starts already this morning. I don't know if there's a problem with the starting procedure. It looked, yeah, that was the Chinese paddler, wasn't it?
I think she'll be thankful that they pulled that back. Did bounce back off that start gate. So sometimes if you do take that risk, the starter can either call you back, pull the false start on you, or let it go, and then you're at a disadvantage as well.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because if you pull against that boot, it then pushes you back, and you're effectively going backwards while everybody else is starting. So it doesn't give you any advantage. I guess it's just about being ready to react, and they say that with whether it's swimming or athletics, you can't predict when the start's going to be. You've just got to react.
It is interesting. You did mention the number of false starts here, and it's clear to see that the ICF has just changed up the starting process. In Richitse last week, the starting process was actually quite consistent and fairly quick, so there wasn't any necessity to have any false starts, whereas now, from what I hear reports from the athletes, the starters are changing up their start process, because in some instances you could listen to a starter and the starter might be fairly the same in most starts, and you can predict that start. But from what I hear, the starters are changing their starts, and hence why we're having a number of false starts.
Yeah, really interesting one, that, isn't it? Because the top athletes like yourself will have been up there at the start and just had a listen to see, right, okay, which starter is it? What do they normally do? Is there normally a long pause or a short pause? Is there some consistency? And use every little piece of information they can for their benefit. But obviously, the starters this time around maybe trying to catch people out. I think a fair and short starting process seems to me to be the best way of doing it.
Yeah, particularly with these 200s, obviously being such a short race, a lot of the athletes took advantage of that start. And when 200s did become introduced into the sport, there was a lot of false starts because everyone was just trying to break that gate down. But everyone calmed down a little bit, started pulling them up a little bit more. And now it seems to be a little bit more reliant in having fair starts most of the time.
Well, yeah, let's hope for a fair start this time around, which is what the paddlers will be hoping for. They've circled round, they've used their experience not to panic, just to concentrate on what's ahead of them, the next few strokes, and prepare themselves mentally for the race ahead. There's perhaps the favourite, certainly the fastest qualifier, Yaroslavdis Du Bois. And although outside the medals at the Olympics, she is really coming good this season.
Having a great season so far. It's fantastic results for the Cubans.
So the final of the C1 women 200 metres, and the Chinese paddler in lane 6 going steady away there. She may well suffer because of that start. Very, very important. You can see Du Bois there in picture as she was, lane 5. Really powerful athlete, but also very tall and uses that range to best effect. But we've got about 6 boats in this one, very close at the moment.
Once again, as last week, the Chinese aren't the strongest starters, but as you can see, she was very conservative based off that false start, but looks like she's actually moved through on this field. Very impressive middle race pace.
Yeah, it was. We can see the young Canadian, Jensen's right up there as well. Du Bois going well in the blue boat, right near the top of your picture. Also, you got Katie Vincent. Don't forget her. She's coming for a late charge. It looks like the Cuban, the Canadian, and then the Canadian and Pole fighting out for perhaps the 3rd place there. Just wonder if Du Bois practiced that lunge on the line, because she seems to get it right.
She's certainly nailed that. I mean, for us by the eyesight, we can't quite pick it, but both of those girls, the Cuban and Canadian, nailed that lunge.
They did, and Katie Vincent, it's been interesting to watch her when she paddles against some of the more powerful paddlers. There's a contrast there. Katie Vincent's a lot smoother, perhaps a bit more efficient, sort of in the middle of the field in the race. They're in touch, but just perhaps that efficiency really counting towards the end of the race.
Definitely, with the experience that she's got and the training background, she's certainly a reliable seaboat paddler.
Right, well, we'll be able to see. This will be the lunge for the line, timed to perfection by the Cuban, and she needed it this time round. Katie Vincent near the top of your picture in second. Just see if we can get third, and really another good lunge, and that's Sophia Jensen. Now she is one to watch for the future, definitely. And Canada, well, they've got some experienced paddlers like Katie Vincent in the squad, but they've got some great young up-and-coming paddlers who are really enjoying their paddling at the moment. And Sophia Jensen will be delighted to pick up the bronze medal. They're all three of them coming over towards the pontoon. As we look at confirmation, Yaroslawis Cyrilo Du Bois in first place, Katie Vincent in second, and Sophia Jensen confirmed in third place. And at least one of them, probably all three, will be having a chat with Ross down on the pontoon. Well, I think we're going back up to the start. We are indeed. We haven't got long. Unfortunately, we might feed that interview in later. We'll see. But we've got the K1 Women 200 metre final coming right up. This, of course, was an Olympic event. And the master of that was Lisa Carrington. We'll see her racing a little bit later on. We've already seen her pick up a gold medal in the K1 500 metres early this morning. So just looking at the lineup, we've got Zhang Qian from China in 1, Georgia Sinclair from Australia in 2, Spela Janic from Slovenia in 3. There's Sinclair from Australia in lane 2. We should see Janic, who was third, took the bronze medal. Spela Janic, very experienced paddler, really enjoying her paddling. Took a break after Tokyo. Wasn't sure whether she was going to carry on. She certainly decided to for these World Cups. Still not sure about the World Championships yet, though. Helena Wisniewska, who raced in the K4 earlier, that was third early this morning. Poles taking gold and bronze in that event. Anja Osterman, she won this event last weekend in Czech Republic. Another experienced Slovenian who's enjoying her paddling now. She's been paddling and training with the Slovakians, and it's working very well for her. Next to her, Marta Valčíkovič. How many times have we seen her on the start line and on the podium over 200 metres in World Championships, World Cups, European Championships, and of course Olympic Games. She missed out in Tokyo though, 4th place for her. Anastasia Holova from the Ukraine goes in lane 7. Francesca Laje, Portuguese, in 8. And then Pernille Knudsen completes the lineup in lane 9.
Strong field here, as we saw from last week. Anja Osterman, clearly in form, and obviously the second Slovenian, Spela. So those two will be definitely fighting it out for a result here. 2 Polish girls. Interesting to see that the Poles have swapped out Dominika Puto, who got second last week. So they're clearly giving these younger girls who are developing another chance to really spread their wings.
So the final of the women's K1 200 metres is underway. Not a great start from Wisniewska, the Polish paddler in lane 4. We'll get a feel for how Valčíkovič in picture is going now. Normally gets away to a good start, but as you spotted, Anja Osterman, David, from Slovenia, going really, really well at the moment. She won last weekend. She's holding it together here, but Valčíkovič is putting her under pressure. And lane 8, that's Francesca Laje, got away to her traditional excellent start. But can she hold that pace as we get to the business end of the race now? Is going to be close, but the Portuguese paddler going well. Valčíkovič is in there in the pink boat, but it looks like Anja Osterman perhaps beginning to overhaul her for the finish line. Between Osterman and Leia, the Portuguese for the first place. And Valchikevic maybe just took third, but that's how close 200-meter racing is. And perhaps halfway down the course, it looked like it was Valchikevic. The Portuguese paddler got away to a very good start, but it is Anja Osterman from Slovenia. Maintains a rich vein of form to take the gold medal in the women's K1 200 meters. Great result for her. Good start, solid, strong start from her. Valchikevic got away well. Middle section of the race though, she's obviously feeling strong, Anja Osterman. Training's gone well and her technique holding up.
That was a really good race, particularly from both the Pole and the Slovenian. You could see that the Polish girl really wanted to try and take that win. She was having a much better race this weekend comparatively to last weekend. She was coming around that 100, 150 meter mark. She was challenging Anja, but as you can see, Anya's in really good form in both 200 and 500. And she just got that back end from her 500 meter train just to hold her in good stead to get that stronger finish.
Yeah, she does indeed. It's interesting the amount that we talk in 200 meters about actually endurance almost and being able to maintain that pace. And a lot of people think 200 meters is just a smash and grab all-out sprint, but there's a lot more to it than that. Well, sorry, we'll head back to that. We'll just have a look. Hopefully, she'll have a quick word with Ross on the pontoon.
Well, Anja, congratulations. A good race.
Thank you.
How did you feel?
I was really tired already in the morning. When I went for finals for 500, in my head was, I'm tired and this is how I also pedaled. But now, different mindset. I went on the start, I will win it. And I didn't feel perfect, but I was like, I'm there, come to the finish line. And then I didn't know if I'm first, second, and third, but I guess I'm first. So yeah, I'm happy, of course.
You're definitely first. It's been a hard day because everything's on today.
Not just today, it's just this win here. I have a feeling like we are racing for 2 weeks. It's like it was delayed, and it was really hard, but I guess it's hard for everyone, but I'm happy that I won.
And you're in a good place now for the World Championships this year, do you think?
I think yes, because we didn't train and preparing ourselves for this race. We just came from the trainings, and I didn't know that I'm so well prepared. So yeah, I'm really excited about racing, but I'm also happy that now it's like 1.5 months off that I can prepare, and I'm really excited, yeah.
So what will you do between now and Canada? Where will you train?
First, now I think I will have 3 or 4 days off at home with my boyfriend. I miss my family, I miss everyone. And later, I will train at home for 1 week. And I think then I go back to Slovakia to train with my team.
Well, congratulations, well done. Enjoy the break.
Thank you.
So she's delighted there. We've seen that with the Polish paddlers as well, just big smiles on their faces. So Anja Osterman pleased with that. Interesting, she talked about mindset as well, and Lisa Carrington said something the same, really, being able to, as we see confirmation of the results there, Slovenia, Portugal, Poland, but being able to adapt. You know, there's been so many changes over this weekend. It's those who have managed to hold it together, to embrace those changing conditions in order to deliver their best performance.
Yeah, absolutely. In many instances, when it comes to a really difficult race like we have seen in the last couple of days, a lot of athletes can lose a race before they even hit the start line, and that's just that mental and emotional pressure, being able to handle the external factors, i.e. weather or expectation of getting a result. So yeah, absolutely, she's clearly in a really good mental and emotional state, and yeah, where she's going and what she's doing. As she mentioned, she's training in Slovakia, so she's clearly made a change in her training environment, and as you can see with her performances and how happy she is at the moment, it's certainly paying off for her.
Yeah, quite often it's a holistic approach, isn't it, to an athlete? It's not just about what they're doing in training, it's about, are they spending time with their family? Are they in the right environment for that? Are they in a good place mentally? And clearly she is.
She's done a good job, and I expect bigger things for her come World Championships.
Indeed, we've got a fair while, haven't we? A good chunk of training, an opportunity maybe to just come down off the racing and do a good body of hard work in preparation for the World Championships in Halifax, which will be start the first week in August.
Yeah, what is it? I think it's only just on 10 weeks by the time we finish this week of racing here. So obviously a lot of the athletes just go back, reset, have a good analysis of where they are, particularly around their results in terms of how far percentage or time from first, second or third or whatever desired result they want to be. And as we discussed last week, I'll be going over the data, having a look at where they went with their stroke rates and their speeds and such like that. So, and then these next 3 weeks, reset, probably go through into a little bit of aerobic block and then wind back up for that last 6-week block leading into Worlds.
Indeed, and quite an interesting one for the paddlers that have come over now to Europe. So, for example, for the Australians, I guess they'll be staying in Europe, training there, and have a base in order to prepare themselves then for going across to Halifax.
Well, they will be basing themselves for the final few weeks here in Europe. They are going back to Australia, so they're going for the big flight back. They'll be back for about 5 weeks, I think, and then heading back for a final 3-week block. It just depends on the year and the 4-year cycle where they are and how they want to be setting up. So I think they're just considering it's a short Olympic cycle. They're going to go home, take a little bit more time at home, and then the next couple of years they'll be certainly spending a lot more time basing themselves in Europe. I mean, for the Kiwis and the Aussies, it is a difficult situation because it's a big flight from Australia to get to Canada, so you don't want to take that risk and just flying in and going in hot for a week. So coming to Europe, where we do have our bases, it's only that 4-hour time difference, 3-hour time. I can't remember what it is, but it's quite an easy transition. So coming to Europe and basing themselves to training makes practical sense.
It does, yeah, and I'm quite interested to hear that actually the Australians choosing to go back for a chunk of time this year, and maybe as we get closer to Paris, perhaps they'll base themselves over Europe more consistently over the European summer.
Absolutely. I dare say it'll be a certainty that the teams like New Zealand and Australia will probably be based there for that 3-month journey.
Right, well, an interesting insight into what the paddlers from different nations, different continents around the world will do. And we've got paddlers from different continents here for the medal ceremony in the C1 Women 200 metres event.
ICF Canoe Sprint and 22. Medal awarding ceremony, winners of C1 Women 200 meters.
Zbliżył się i Paracanoe z Międzynarodowej Federacji Kajakowej ICF. Poznan Poland 2022, zwycięzcy w kategorii C1.
And we've got the director of the Sports and Tourism Department, Yuva Balak, presenting the medals.
Medale wręczać będą Ewa Bąk, dyrektor Wydziału Sportu Urzędu Miasta Poznania oraz Bartłomiej.
So 2 Canadians on the podium, a very experienced Canadian and a young and ever improving Canadian. And it will be that one, Sophia Jensen, that picks up her bronze medal first. As I said, she was absolutely over the moon to have won the C4 event. Clearly delighted to take a bronze medal in this one. And Canadians have got a great future ahead of them in canoe racing.
Very strong history in sea boats, particularly in the club culture there. There are a lot of clubs there, and they really do a lot of canoeing there. So as you can see, it's paying off.
Yeah, they really enjoy their canoeing, don't they? I remember chatting to Larry Kane, Olympic champion. I think it was back in '84 or '88, and he was saying the clubs are full of canoe paddlers, which is great to see. Katie Vincent, another medal round her neck. Be interesting to see who decides to pair up for the C2 in Paris in a couple of years' time. But at the moment, this is the person to beat. Yaroslaw's Cirillo Dubois, another young paddler with a great future ahead of her. It'll be interesting to see her against Nevin Harrison and perhaps Ludmila Lutzan come the World Championships in Canada.
It's going to actually be a very exciting race. She's clearly coming in with very good form, and she's sending a clear message of where she's at right now. So those girls will certainly be watching this race. Hello to you girls. and they'll be analysing it. They'll be seeing where they are with their training. But it's always good to see, as we said, the women's seaboat class developing, but also seeing very competitive and strong paddlers.
Yeah, it is indeed. And yes, young paddlers coming through, like Sophia Jensen, like Du Bois, Nevin Harrison, the world and Olympic champion, of course, and Ludmila Lutzan, the Ukrainian. So the future in women's canoe boat paddling is really bright and exciting, and, you know, all credit to the International Federation for moving that event forward and getting it into the Olympic program.
It's developed very well. It's developed really quickly, and it's good to see a wide variety of continents being competitive in the sport.
Right the way across the globe. It is a global sport. We can see that from the viewing figures at the Olympic Games, because we had medals coming from South America and China as well. And we'll see those nations represented here in the next final, which is the C1 men 1,000 meters. You've got 2 Cubans in this one, 2 Ukrainians. Got Romania, Czech Republic well represented in Martin Fuchser, who was unbeatable last weekend. China and Canada as well. Martin Fuchser, who goes in lane 4, C1 500 meter champion last weekend, perhaps his favoured distance, but he also did the same in the 1,000 metres. He's won the 500 metre event already this morning, and I wouldn't put it past him to do the same in this 1,000 metres event. Now we've got Sergei Madrigal, another Cuban. They're so good in the canoes, the Cubans. He's in lane 1. Katalin Shirilla from Romania goes in 2. Medalist earlier also in the 500 metres, Shirilla. And in Rachice, Jose Ramon Cordova from Cuba goes in 3. Often partners up with the more experienced Madrigal in the C2. And then we'll see Martin Fuchser. Fairly distinctive. He normally has his name written on his boat. Actually, we're not seeing him at the moment. Hopefully we will do at some point. He's just taking his time to get to the start. We did see Viktor Glazunov, who was 3rd in the C1 500. There's Fuchser. And yeah, as we say, he's been in great form so far. Glazunov got out to a great start in the 500 metres, just perhaps faded a little bit towards the end. And then Zheng Pengfei from China, tall figure, just preparing himself for this 1,000 metre race. Yuri Vandyuk from Ukraine goes in 7. His teammate, who we saw earlier as well in the 500 metres, Pavlo Altukov, he goes in 8. Is that a haircut since we saw that graphic? And Connor Fitzpatrick from Canada in lane 9. So, the final of the C1 men 1,000 metres. And it looks like Martin Fuchser has got away well. You can see 4 from the top of your picture. That's Martin Fuchser. And then to his right, also the Pole, Viktor Glazunov. They were in lanes next to each other in the 500 metres, and it was a similar sort of story early on in the 500 with the Polish paddler putting the Czech paddler under pressure.
Obviously, off his C1 500 performances, he's very confident, and he's obviously got the speed. So with his tailwind, he will obviously use his natural speed and strength just to get out really quite strong. And once he's out right now, he'll be looking to just find his rhythm, transition to his mid-race pace, and just look for that comfortable pace right now. And as you can see, he's just starting to spread out now, so he's clearly had a really good start transition.
Yes, indeed. First quarter of the race underway and completed. Canadian just sort of steady away there in lane 9, keeping his technique together. Fuchser doing the same. He's leading at the moment to the first split time. And this is an important part of the race, David, in terms of pacing and not letting it drop too much.
No, absolutely. As we have discussed before, it's just about finding that rhythm and just that acceleration phase between each stroke. Within this event here, it'd be really difficult just to find that connection, purchase of power on the blade and transitioning it through to the boat with that drive of that front leg. So when you really get that linked in, you could really maximize that drive and power, but also minimize energy.
Yeah, so as much energy as you've got going into that race and spending the energy carefully, not saving too much for the end. but you can't afford to go out all guns blazing. As we approach halfway, we should see Martin Fuchser in the lead, but also Chirilla in lane 2. Kathleen Chirilla has been in good form. He's an experienced paddler, been around the circuit for a long time, paddling well at the moment.
Martin Fuchser still just looks very clean. It just looks effortless compared to the guys around him. As you can see in the background, there's a bit of that grimace on the face on the Cuban there, where Fuchser is just quite relaxed, so it's very at peace with that mid-pace there.
Yeah, he's got that good rhythm, hasn't he? And that means he's had a great winter of solid training. He'll be aware that right over to his right, over the far side of the course, that's where the pace is after Fuchser. It's Altikov, the Ukrainian in 8, Connor Fitzpatrick, the Canadian in lane 9. We haven't seen a lot from the Chinese paddler, who was the Olympics silver medalist in the C2, Zheng Pengfei, at the moment. We might see him come for a late charge, but he's got quite a lot of work to do, the Chinese paddler in lane 6. This still with Fuchser now. We're getting to the business end of the race. We're into the final quarter, and we'll see if he manages to pick up his rhythm now. Just a little bit slightly difficult conditions to deal with. He still has a good gap on the rest of the field, but seems to be the Romanian to his right, and then lane 8 and 9, Ukrainian Altikov and Canadian Fitzpatrick. They have the best chance of putting Fuchser under pressure.
Yes, Ukrainian and Canadians are very lucky to have each other next to each other. Looks like they've got the tiny little mini race there, pushing each other out in the field. And the Romanian could be just starting to wind up. He's taken some really strong strokes, but from what we can see right now, Fuchser's just starting to kick up another gear.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Maybe Fuchser just felt that, just noticed it, just sensed almost like the breath on his shoulder there, and has picked it up again. He's got a gap now. He's got clear water. The other's picking it up. Maybe Chirilla in picture there. Looked like perhaps he shot his bolt, but he's coming again at Fuchser, and again putting Fuchser under pressure, asking the questions. Fuchser seems to be answering them. That gap is getting smaller, but Fuchser has enough in the bag to take the line in first place. And Romania in second. Looked to be like the Ukrainian Altikov took third.
Impressive race by Fuchser. Class above in that instance right there. As you could see from the first 200, and the moment he transitioned down, he just started just stroking away from those athletes there, making it look really efficient, really clean, and really comfortable.
Yeah, and you said as relaxed and comfortable. I mean, obviously he's not relaxed and comfortable. Perhaps there was a little bit more in the bag that he could have used if he needed to. Just get a look at the start. 1,000 meters, so the start's important, but it's about just getting that boat up and running. Fuchser does that very well actually out of the start and settles into his pace, keeps the rhythm going, maintains the technique, so important over 1,000 meters. And then he was put under pressure at the end from Chirilla in the lane next to him, but he had plenty still left, plenty of energy, so he could just pick it up towards the end to secure the win. And actually quite similar to Fernando Pimenta in the men's K1, certainly looked very easy towards the middle, and just middle phase of the race and dominated from there.
When you've got that ability to have that natural speed, it's very easy just to get it out and start dictating terms of the race. And that's the way where some of these faster paddlers can control races. They get it out, and then they can change the perception of the other competitors, where the competitors will start racing the competitors instead of racing their own race. So when you're out in that front, you can very much dictate the terms of the race.
Yeah, so executing your own race plan, and that's what Martin Fuchser did there in 3:55, taking the gold medal. Kathleen Chirilla, another medal to his World Cup collection for 2022 in second, and Pavlo Altikov from Ukraine takes the bronze medal. Now hopefully Martin Fuchser will come and have a chat on the pontoon shortly. There he goes. 4 gold medals, 4 races taking part in the individual events, 4 gold medals from the World Cup in 2022. A little message perhaps to his competitors.
Well, Martin, you couldn't be more perfect than that. 4 races over 2 weekends, 4 gold medals.
Yeah, today was a busy morning. I'm glad that I can take 2 gold medals. I'm really happy, and I'm looking forward for another training, another, I would say, another training. Yeah, that's it.
Well, congratulations. You go to Halifax in a good place. Well done.
Thank you. See you.
So
Bonjour, je m'appelle Maxime Beaumont.
here we have Maxime Beaumont, silver medalist from Rio 2016. Just to give us a few technical pointers. So he's going to show you today how to improve your technique. For those of you watching the sprint paddlers, have a look at this. Now this is the way not to paddle. Too much of the arms going forward and back and not enough leg movement. Now this is the way to do it. Arms nice and relaxed, not using the arms, using the legs, driving that all the way through the core onto the blade. There you go, now it's your turn. Thank you, Maxime. And such a versatile athlete, Maxime Beaumont, being able to get medals in, in World Cup events from 200 to 1,000 meters. And they, of course, the French picking up a medal in the men's K4 over 500 meters. We're going to go back up to the start of 500 to see what is perhaps one of the most competitive races currently, the K2 men's 500.
Yes, it's as they would say, online gaming, it's certainly a sweaty event. So, I mean, obviously we're missing a crew here in lane 5, but rest of these crews, very competitive. And for me, as being a patriot as I am, 2 Aussie crews, fantastic.
Yeah, great to see 2 brothers as well. I think it's Pierre and Jean, the Van der Westhuizens. I think there's a 3rd brother as well. Who knows? Maybe we'll see the other one at some point on the international scene.
Luke, I know Luke quite well, but I don't think he'll be paddling as competitive as the boys.
Well, Luke, if you are watching, I hope you're enjoying it, and thank you for joining us. Now then, we've got lane 1, Slovakia. That is Erik Vlicek and Adam Botek. Don't discount this very experienced crew from Slovakia in lane 1. Then we've got the first of the Australians, Jean van der Westhuizen, Thomas Green, of course, Rio Olympic champions. And Thomas Green did his best to put Fernando Pimenta early this morning under pressure in the men's K1. He took the silver medal in that event. João Ribeiro and Messias Baptista there, Portuguese, paddle a great deal with each other in K2 and K4, these two. They're in lane 3. Then lane 4, we have Germans in lane 4, but sadly not in lane 5. So we've got Felix Franz and Moritz Florstedt in lane 4. We've got a gap to lane 5. Then we'll move across to Pierre-Luc Paulin and Simon McTavish, who were really quick in qualification in what was difficult conditions, the Canadians. So I think they'll be feeling confident coming into this. They're in lane 6. And then Mindaugas Maldonis and Andrei Oljenik from Lithuania go in 7. Great paddlers over the shorter distance, of course, of 200 meters. And then to the left of your picture, last 2 boats, we've got the second Australian crew of Pierre van der Westhuizen and Noah Havard. And next to them in lane 9, very experienced René Paulsen in the front there. And Victor Asmour behind him. So final of the men's K2 500 meters, the starter holding them for a long time, but thankfully they all get away to a clean start with a lane gap in the middle. But this will be a competitive race nonetheless. This a new Olympic event for Paris 2024, and Jean van der Westhuizen and Thomas Green, well, they're Olympic champions in the longer distance. They'll want to put down a marker. They're going in lane 2, going well at the moment, as are the Canadians, who are so impressive in qualification in lane 6.
Portuguese have had a cracking start here. wasn't expecting them to be out as quick. The Canadians have had form in these heats and semi-finals to be as quick, but their backhand isn't quite as strong. So it'll be interesting to see who can hold on to this speed coming through here. Hopefully for the Aussies, they're going to move through in this back 250.
Yeah, indeed. So Portugal going through, but Australia right up there actually at the first split. And as you've said, David, Australians, particularly with the 1,000-metre experience, really will have the speed as the other boats begin to tire.
Certainly so. Hopefully that the Aussies haven't tightened up too much through the middle trying to chase it, but it looks like they just don't have those legs at the back end here. Portugal's starting to move on. They know they're in front. They're feeling confident. They're going to push through, it looks like it.
They've done well, haven't they? You know, Portuguese quite often get to a good start, but they've worked hard on their crew boats. The K4 has been good this season. The Portuguese K4, of course, also making the Olympic final. They're coming through. It looks like it's going to be tight, though, holding on for the win because Germany were putting them under a huge amount of pressure.
Fantastic finish by the Germans. They weren't in the race at that point in time in the last 200, but clearly they've worked on that back end and come through for that silver.
Did, yeah. We didn't really talk about the Germans during the race, did we? They just sort of snuck through, but it's so on a knife edge, the K2 500 meters, isn't it? It's almost full on right the way down, but if you overdo it, you can really suffer over the last 100 meters. Portuguese, though, seem to hold it together. Germans almost a boat length down at the halfway point, but they came through strongly, maintaining their speed well. Australians in lane 2 weren't far off, perhaps just outside the medals, although there was a fight for the bronze in the end, and we'll see that in just a few moments' time. There's the Portuguese, Ribeiro and Baptista, very experienced in both K4 and K2, these two, and I think did enough to hold off the fast-finishing Germans. And there we see it, Portugal just ahead of Germany. It could have been that the Australians, lane 2, take the bronze medal. Big lunge for the Portuguese over the line, and I think they could sense the others closing up on them and felt that that lunge was absolutely necessary. So they'll be pleased with that. And interesting, David, you're talking about the Australians there, when you're not at the front of the race, sometimes trying to chase it, you can spin your wheels a little bit, and you've got to not panic and maintain that rhythm.
In many instances for some athletes, when they're not in a position where they're used to being, and a crew jumps out on top of them, it's really easy just to tighten up, lose track of where you are in your race plan, lose track of where you are on the course, and then start relying on stroke rate instead of actual executing each stroke.
Yeah, well, it worked for the Australians in the end. You can see there the Germans just behind, less than a tenth behind the Portuguese, and Australia pick up the bronze medal with a good finish from them, holding on to their plan and trying to not panic, which is always a difficult one in a race like this. And then Canadians, very impressive, just outside the medals in 4th place. So we'll hope we'll see the Portuguese. They're circling their way around. Pleased with that. Of course, we had Fernando Pimenta winning in the men's K1 at 1,000 metres. Now we've got another gold medal for Portugal in the men's K2.
Well, yeah, it's a very happy Portuguese crew down here. I think they're almost as surprised as everybody else. What a great result.
Yeah, it was very great. We knew that this distance is very close. So many boats going fast, but we get out of the system very well, and then always in the front, and it was good, awesome.
And this is an Olympic event, of course, so it's a good message for you to come and win here.
Yes, very much. The World Cup, it's for testing the crews, and we will live here with good ambitions for the World Championship.
Well, congratulations. You go there as winners, so well done.
Thank you.
Well, just perhaps a comment for the selectors there. Want to book their spot for the World Championships in this Olympic discipline, and see how delighted they are with that result. And also, of course, not only Fernando Pimenta winning in the men's K1000, but also Francesca Leia, we saw a little bit earlier, taking the silver medal in the women's K1 200 metres, a non-Olympic event, but a good result nonetheless for the Portuguese. Right, well, we're going to go to the award ceremony for the K1 men over 200 metres, and we'll see another Portuguese paddler here, Kevin Santos, picking up a medal.
Portuguese have really turned around this last 12 months, particularly from the result from their K4 500 around the men. I mean, they didn't perform at the level that they would have really liked, and clearly they've gone back, reset, and really attacked it.
They have, and they've only a small group of paddlers, and it's a small but very tightly knit federation. Don't get a huge amount of funds, but they do a great job with who they have in Portugal, and they also put on some fantastic events like World Championships, World Junior Championships in Montemor Velho. So we'll have Cecilia Ferrai, the ICF Vice President, will be giving out the medals. First up is the turn of Kevin Santos. A lot expected of him over the last few years, and now he's beginning to deliver. The tall figure of Kevin Santos. He was in the K4 last week. He was in the final of the World Championships last year, but only 9th then, so moving up. Good news for the Portuguese team, as you've said, David. And then we have the Lithuanian, the experienced Lithuanian, Arturas Seja, who was one place ahead, in fact, of Kevin Santos at the World Championships in 8th. And then we'll see Petter Menning. Good winter of training. Had his injury problems over the last few seasons. Often has been there or thereabouts in the 200 metres. Nice to see him winning the gold and looking in such good form.
He'll be ecstatic with this performance. As you said, he's been in and around the podium for quite a while, but been some time since he's been on top. But particularly to get this gold here in this World Cup series, you can see he's been trying to transition over to that 500, K2, K4, working with the Swedish team, and the performances haven't been to the level where he probably would have hoped for. But to come back to his pet event and take the win, he'd be ecstatic with that.
He will, and it'll be quite interesting actually looking at the K4 for the Swedes going forward, because of course they've got two paddlers that have done so well in the K2 1000 metre over the last couple of years. Put the 1000 metre guys in with a couple of 200 metre guys like Petter Menning, and we could have a very good K4 going forward over the next few years.
You'd think so, and you'd hope that they're thinking like that too. So I'm not really sure on the names in the crew as it is, but there are some capable paddlers there. They did have two K1000 paddlers in the final today, so there's certainly some individual capacity there to make a K4 work. It's just a matter of getting those individuals working together as a crew.
Yeah, which isn't an easy thing to do. Well, we should hear from another Swede in a few minutes' time. We've got a little clip from Anders Gustafsson coming up shortly. Now, that Swedish crew in the K2 is Dennis Kernan and Martin Natel, who were actually world champions last year in Copenhagen. So they do have a good prospect for the K4 500 metres over the next few years.
Absolutely. They should be pretty excited around potential opportunities moving forward.
Good job, guys.
Right, well, we'll look forward soon to the K1 men 500 metres. That will be coming up shortly. Actually, it's the C2 women over 200 coming up shortly. Excuse me, just checking my information coming through here. There's been so many changes that we've had over this weekend here in Poznan. Thankfully, the wind has calmed down and we're able to go racing. We've already had one session early this morning. We're midway through our second session, and then we'll have the 5,000 metre racing a little bit later on this afternoon. Great venue here for if you're a cyclist, even a skier or a swimmer. They've got a great swimming pool here. They've also got a zoo. An ever increasing number of animals from all around the world they have here on the Malta Lake. Popular venue for the people of Poznan. It's literally a 40-minute walk from the centre of Poznan. And Poznan loves their canoeists. The Polish team are very popular around here. They race here a lot, although they do train generally north of here in a place called Vouch. They have their Olympic High Performance Training Centre, and that's where they'll spend a lot of the time training, apart from when they go abroad to slightly warmer climes over the winter, and then they're happy to race here in Poznan.
I've spent some time in Vouch training there. It's actually a really, really good training location. I'm really quite impressed with it. Really big lake, long lake. So I think they've got 2 courses there that they can utilise. So it's quite easy to maximise training opportunities when you're sharing with the rowers. But the training facilities there as well are actually world class. It's an impressive facility.
Yeah, I think the rowers train there, the canoeists train there, a couple of others as well, and a great venue to have a regatta, but of course they don't have the infrastructure that Poznan has for that. Well, they do have a lot less wind, apparently.
A lot of race courses do have a lot less wind here. I think sometimes it's just the weather gods just don't like us when we turn up to Poznan. I mean, the local paddlers say it's never like this, but every regatta I've come to, we've always endured some form of blazing wind.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's an outdoor sport and the paddlers have to be able to adapt to the conditions, don't they? And that's really been the challenge this weekend. So we'll go up to the 200 metre start for the C2 women over this distance, a non-Olympic distance, but competitive nonetheless. And perhaps the outstanding crew will be Cuba, Dubois and Segura, who found themselves on the podium several times already last weekend and indeed this weekend. But might not have everything all their own way. So lane 1 is to the far right of your picture. That'll be the Germans. There they are in picture now, Lisa Jan and Sophie Koch. And Lisa Jan there. We saw her compete earlier this morning in the C1 200 metres. And then we've got Magda Stani and Prisha Mendelska from Poland in lane 2. In lane 3, Megumi Tsubota and Tiruku Kiriake from Japan. Amelia Braun and Angelika Doronczynska from Poland are in 4. Yulia Kneski and Tetiania Smilyovenko from Ukraine go in 5. Then we've got the Cubans, once again, already been gold medal winners in the C2 500 metre event, these two. Dubois and Segura. They're in lane 6. Shuai Changwen and Lin Wenyun join together the Chinese crew in lane 7. Altsbeta Verikova and Martina Malikova from the Czech Republic go in 8. So last weekend it was the Cubans who took the win, Chinese in 2nd. It was the Moldovans who aren't here in 3rd, but the Chinese and Cubans are. So we could see a race develop between these 2 crews that are in lanes right next to each other. Cubans in 6, Chinese in 7. So there's the lineup: Germany, Poland, Japan, Poland, Ukraine, Cuba, China, Czech Republic. Boats just getting ready, preparing themselves for the C2 women's 200 metres. C2 women 200 metre final is underway. The Cubans got to the best of the starts. No surprise there. And it's up to the rest of the crews to try to reel the Cubans in now, but judging by the way they've been performing recently, that's going to be a tall order. So right next to the Cubans are the Chinese. They were 2nd to the Cubans last weekend in Rachice. Germans going well at the top of your picture from lane 1. Looking a little bit tense there, the Cubans perhaps. And they're certainly being put under pressure. Looks like they've done enough. There'll be another lunge for the line. Well timed by them. China and Germany take silver and bronze.
Once again, another impressive performance by the Cubans. To see the workload that they've put themselves under with the amount of races that they have been doing, and to keep coming out on top just shows where these girls are, and the work that they have done to come here and do what they've done. They've clearly put in the work in the off season to come here in such fine form. So fingers crossed that they hold this type of form. Many instances you can have an athlete or a crew come in with really good strong form and then just miss the mark in the final 10 weeks leading into Worlds. So fingers crossed that they just press the right reset button and stay on track with where they're going. And as would say, don't reinvent the wheel moving forward, because they're on form, and what they need to do is just keep improving just that 1%. Don't try and train for any more. Just keep the pressure on and stay focused.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, that. We just can't expect that it'll be the same people winning the medals at the World Championships that have won the medals here, because we don't know exactly what phase of preparation the athletes are in. Of course, it's good for them to get some podiums and medals under their belt here at the World Cup, but they'll really be thinking long term and that it's about the World Championships. And I guess if you're a gold medal winner here, you take that positively for your training to prepare for the World Champs, and if you miss out on the medals, you use that as well and think, right, okay, well, what can I learn from that to prepare myself better for Canada in August? And there's confirmation of the result. Dubois and Segura in first place, the Cubans. Chinese crew take the silver medal, and it's the Germans in bronze. So another medal to add to Dubois' increasingly large collection of gold medals, including one from this morning in the C1 200 meters, which was only less than an hour ago. So they're down on the pontoon, and I'm sure they'll have a little chat with Ross.
Wow, what an incredible weekend. How are you feeling?
I don't know. This is good. Yeah.
You're paddling very well at the moment. You must feel very happy with the way everything is.
Yeah, it's very, very, very happy. For me and for she.
Yeah.
Very good.
You want to answer in Spanish? Do you want to say how you feel in Spanish?
Estamos muy feliz, muy contenta, porque desde un principio este era el resultado que queríamos obtener y gracias a Dios lo logramos.
You go back to Bydgoszcz now, or you go back to Cuba?
No, Cuba.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to go home. Yeah.
No, for my school, but I need to training for August.
For Halifax in August, yeah. Well, we look forward to seeing you there. Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
So the Cubans going back home to Cuba, get a good block of training done in preparation for the World Championships, and they'll take their multiple gold medals with them, I'm sure, and a lot of confidence from that. Though, of course, there'll be a few more crews there at the World Championships that perhaps we haven't seen at the World Cups. It'll be interesting to see. The Ukrainians will be out there, I'm sure, as well, to put them under pressure.
Absolutely. You always do get the occasional crew that comes through the World Cups and that has a really, really strong campaign. And it depends on their training load and how they've come into these World Cups. Some crews can come in, or athletes come in, being a World Cup not being as important, and maybe they have really great performances knowing that there's not a whole lot of pressure, and they perform brilliantly, and then they get a great performance, and then maybe the pressure starts to build and the expectation can build, and when they come to Worlds, they just miss the mark by that little bit, and it happens quite a bit. So, I mean, those girls, they seem like they've got their heads on, and they know where they want to go and how they want to do things, so expect them to be competitive, but also it does happen. Performances change.
Yeah, they do, and the appearance of pressure when there didn't seem to be any, and all of a sudden there's expectation, and the biggest expectation, of course, is the one that the athletes put on themselves, and it's dealing with that. Well, we'll see how these K2 paddlers deal with the pressure. particularly the pressure that Lisa Carrington's going to put on all of them. So we've got a quick look at the lineup there. We should be able to take you through the paddlers, and we start with lane 1 from Poland, Martina Klatt and Sandra Ostrowska. And Poles have had such a successful regatta here in Poznan, particularly today. Find themselves at the moment second in the medal table behind Ukraine, with Germany in third. So, developing crew of Denmark, Selma Konyin and Ruth Vorselman go in lane 2. Manon Hostens and Leah Jamalo, fairly recent pairing because of some changes and issues over COVID. Manon Hostens was the winner of the French selection. She's very much the #1 paddler, but it'll be interesting to see how she pairs up with Leah Jamalo. Then the Germans, Paulina Pasek and Julie Hack. Alicia Hoskin, the young New Zealander, in the front of that boat, backed up by Lisa Carrington, who was the winner early in the K1 500 metres early this morning. Be good to see them. I'm sure they'll get out hard, particularly the transition phase after the start. Next to them, Hermione Peters and Lisa Brooks. Really good pairing and good in the earlier rounds in this event. So they're obviously in good form, as are Alyssa Bull and Alexandra Clark. Australians just missed out on the medals in the K4 in 4th place. And Alyssa Bull, she was brilliant last weekend in the K1 1,000 metres, winning by a huge margin in the Czech Republic. Frederike Mathiasen and Bolette Iversen from Denmark go in 8. And then Adrienne Langlois and Toshka Beshara from Canada in lane 9.
This is going to be an interesting race, particularly with the Germans and the Kiwis. I suspect that, obviously, knowing Lisa and Alicia, they're going to blast out and try and use this tailwind just to keep it light and just hold on. These Germans. It's good to see a really strong German K1 paddler in Julie Haak now. She had a really good performance at World Cup 1. I suspect that they won't be as quick as the girls, but they'll come home strong.
Okay, final of the K2 women 500 metres. Black boat in the middle of your picture is the New Zealand crew. Lisa Carrington was the Olympic champion, but that was with Caitlin Regal. Now she's a new partner, Alicia Hoskin. And expect them to get out hard, especially in this tailwind. Keep on top of the stroke, latching on to the catch. And they've gone out hard, but interestingly, so have the Germans right alongside them. And, well, as you were saying earlier, David, Germans will have a good second half. So it's going to really put the cat amongst the pigeons.
It looks like the Germans have said to themselves, we want to take the fight to the Kiwis straight away and put them under pressure instead of the Kiwis putting them under pressure. So they've really taken it out. I think they will. It looks like holding on to really good form, and now that lead now, it's just starting to lengthen out to half a boat length.
Yeah, this is interesting. And this position maybe in the K2, the New Zealanders aren't quite as used to as they were before. It's very close. 4 boats in this. You could chuck a blanket over them, they're so close at the moment, but we'll see what the New Zealanders have got in this second half now. We're getting towards the final 100 metres of this race. Germans seem to have stepped it up once more, and then 2 lanes to their right. The Belgians putting the New Zealanders under pressure, and the Australians right in the mix there as well.
Knowing those Aussie girls, how fit they are, I suspect they could come over the top end of these Kiwi girls. The Kiwi girls haven't had the strongest finishes. So I'm hoping for the Aussies that they have just that little bit left in the tank.
Yeah, this is a big margin from the Germans. A really impressive race. Maybe, just maybe, they've found the K2 crew that's going to work for them going forward. New Zealanders are coming back. Look to be Belgium. Maybe the top of your picture, Poland. The Poles.
Phenomenal effort. Phenomenal last 150 metres. Incredible. They weren't even in the picture in our thinking at that point in time. So fantastic backhand finish by the Poles.
It was, wasn't it? And Poles have had such a fantastic regatta, winning medals in almost every event that we've seen this morning. And just doing their own race over in lane 1, and that's sometimes the advantage. You're out of the way, concentrate on your own thing. And the Poles got away to a good start. Not as good as the Germans, though. Just perhaps not what we were expecting. Look, really, really well drilled, keeping it long and keeping it smooth there.
At this point in time, 200 to go, Poles were nearly in last position. That was a fantastic back half.
You can see, as you said before, David, the Germans so well drilled it in those crew boats, aren't they?
Phenomenal. I was expecting to have that really strong half. I was not expecting that first half to be as strong, because the Kiwis have been taking it out very strong in most regattas, and they've clearly gone, all right, we want to take it from the word go. So well done for the Germans.
Yeah, great result for them, and maybe they're just one eye on the future as well in this Olympic category, thinking, right, they've had to reset a little bit. They've had a few retirements in the German camp, both in the men and the women, and perhaps here they've found a partnership that's going to take them forwards to put the Hungarians and the likes of the New Zealanders, who are surely only going to get better under pressure. And we'll hear from them with Ross down on the pontoon.
Wow, that was very, what's your head? What's your head again? That was very impressive. What a race.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You went out really hard. That was obviously the tactic to make a statement early.
Yes, obviously, but we also focus on the last 150 meters, and that's our strength. And so we poured through the last 150 meters very, very well.
And obviously, there's a changing of the guard in Germany. New boats, new crews.
Yes.
You feel pretty good together?
Yeah, really good. We've been sitting together since only 3 weeks and had only a few training sessions, but it felt very nice from the beginning, and we had a very good flow.
You go to Canada together?
Yeah, obviously.
Well, good luck. We'll see you in Halifax.
Thank you very much.
Well, they were pretty sure about that. They're both going to Canada together. It'll be really interesting to see them there. They're in a good place, aren't they? And they've worked very hard on that. And interesting also to say, yes, we've got a great second half of the race, but they got out so well. 1:41, that's a good time from them. So Germans in first place. Belgium take silver. Poland take the bronze. New Zealand just get ahead of Australia for those 4th and 5th places there. So this, an exciting and very competitive race, but a good one for the Germans, as it was actually in the men's K2 for the Germans as well. They're in the medals in both these Olympic categories. Well, we'll head up to the start of the 1,000 meters for the C2 men 1,000 now. This event no longer Olympic. It was, of course, but it will be the 500 meters event that will appear in Paris. But appearing here, we have a full final in the men's C2 1,000 meters to look forward to. We've got Japan, Poland, Canada, in fact 2 Japanese crews, Germany, Korea, Czech Republic, Ukraine, and a second Polish crew. So it was the Cubans who were the Olympic champions in a really exciting race and in Tokyo. We're not going to see them here in this particular race. The Chinese in silver and Germans took the bronze. We've got Japanese crew of Aoto Yabu and Takanori Tome in 1. We have Adrian Kloss and Grasian Michalak from Poland in 2. Craig Spence and Brett Himmelman from Canada go in 3. Ryo Naganuma, Shohei Hosumi from Japan will be in 4. Paddlers just taking the time just to approach the start at the 1,000 meter mark, where it looks pretty calm up there, I'm pleased to say. Then we'll see Brendel and Hecker. So Brendel and Hecker, bronze medalists at the Olympic Games. Brendel, of course, got a few Olympic medals to his name, including gold and a bronze. So expect them to go well, particularly in the latter part of the race. Korean crew of Yeol Kim and Kangmin Lee. They're in lane 6. Antonin Hrabal and Yuri Zalubil from the Czech Republic going 7. Viktor Shverudjuk and Andriy Zakharov from Ukraine are in 8. And then we'll see Dominik Nowaczki and Lukasz Witowski from Poland going in 9.
Good to see 2 crews from Japan and the Korean team in this C2000. And I think this gives you an example of the importance of having non-Olympic events at World Cups. Traditional crew teams that might not be as strong in a certain event, it gives them an opportunity to put themselves into an A final, whereas it might not be, yes, it might not be as competitive, but they still go through the process of being in an A final, go through that tension and pressure of being in an A final and racing for medals. So it is a great opportunity, as we can see with Korea and 2 Japanese crews, to be in an A final and race for those medals and develop those crews in a high performance arena.
Yeah, no matter what you do in training, you just can't replicate this, can you? Top level international competition.
Particularly for the Japanese, who will be lining up next to one of the greatest, in Sebastian Brendel. They'll be ecstatic to be in that lane right next to him.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. They'll hope to hang on to his coattails. So the final of the men's C2 1,000 metres. A lot expected from Brendel and Hecker, who've been in good form over the last 2 weekends. And they're in the white boat in the middle of your screen. They get away to a really good start, as do the Danish crew. And there's a huge figure of Sebastian Brendel. Been around for so long now. Remember him just obliterating the opposition in the European Championships on his home water in Brandenburg back in 2014. Fantastic Olympic performances in 2016 and 2012. And of course in Tokyo last year. And he's still keen for more.
Good start by the Germans. You can see the aggressive nature of the stroke. They want to get out and dictate the terms of the race, make these crews chase them.
So they want to just take this by the scruff of the neck. They've got the early lead. The Czechs actually in lane 7. It's the Czechs that are going well. 2 lanes down from the Germans. It could well be that, sadly for the Japanese crew in lane 4 and the Koreans in lane 6, they get affected by the wash that's coming off that German crew. And although it can be an advantage if you're able to sit on it, it's not an easy thing to do.
That Czech crew, just looking at the close-up there, they look really clean, really smooth there. With the Germans are strong. They're really burying that blade, really squeezing hard. But whereas you compare it to those Czechs, it looks a little bit more effortless for those Czechs. So not being a seabait professional in such, I would hazard to guess that these Czechs could be quite competitive through this middle section of the 1,000.
Well, they do look very relaxed, don't they? And you know, we've seen that with Czechs in the past. Technically very, very good. Martin Fuchs being an example. And way back when, Martin Doctor, of course, being a great exponent of technique in this very, very difficult and technical event. Germans still leading the way, though. That strength, the power they put into the stroke, and the experience, of course, of being in this position, all counting in their favour. They've been here before. They know what it's like to be put under pressure in the final quarter. This will be a really important section of the race to see whether or not they can get clear water ahead of the rest. Canadians, well, they've had a good regatta, a good day today for Canada, particularly in the women's canoe boat classes, picking up a number of medals there. But they're giving themselves a really good chance, if not of the gold, certainly of one of the minor medals.
Certainly lining up to be a tight race for that silver and bronze. Just see who's done that as efficiently as they can through that middle section is going to really make up that difference here.
Yeah, Germans are maintaining their stroke, though. They're maintaining their form, aren't they? They've kept it there. Now, maybe we've got lane 9, the Polish crew. Nowaczki and Witowski just beginning to pick it up now in lane 9. They're in picture. We'll see when the drone pans out just a little bit more so we can see that far left-hand side. The Germans perhaps done enough.
Germans kicked into gear again. That rate's gone up. Showing their strength right now, really spreading out. That's an impressive push.
Look at that, they're digging deep, aren't they? They know they want the 500-metre event. They know that's going to be the Olympic one, but this is where they're so good. They've just moved through into another gear. Sheer determination to bludgeon this race into submission by the Germans. That is a long way ahead of the rest of the field. The Poles, and it looked like the Canadians did pick up the bronze medal there.
Germans very happy with that performance. Very happy. As much as it is a non-Olympic event, it's always really good to be coming across that line, winning that event, because they are competitive events, these non-Olympic events, and it is really good for you just to see where you are in terms of what your training's done and what your performances are at.
Well, they are certainly in a good place right now, the Germans, aren't they? They'll be absolutely delighted with that, getting so far ahead of the rest of the field. Of course, the Germans, these two, disappointed. 4th place in the 500-metre event, but an absolute country mile between them and the rest of the field. You can time that gap with a calendar. And you can see Poles just looking across there at the Canadians to take that bronze medal. Also perhaps indicative of the difference between 1,000-metre racing and 500-metre racing. Yes, it's the same energy system, but Germans dominating so much that event and yet still not quite there on the podium in the shorter 500-metre event. So the tall figure of Sebastian Brendel, he's found a great matchup with his partner Tim Hecker, and they will come to the pontoon now and have a quick chat with Ross.
Well, Sebastian and Tim, it really looked like you wanted to make a statement today.
Yeah, we wanted to make something upright. So the 500 meters weren't that much good. We didn't did that what we wanted to, and so we wanted to win the 1,000 in an appropriate way. So yeah.
Do you feel like you're getting close with the 500? Is it starting to get into place for you?
We have to improve some things and have to work on it until the next month to the World Championship. But we have a solid base. We show over 1,000 meters, and we try to make this race also over 500.
Yeah, it's not only competitive in the world, but it's also competitive in Germany as well, isn't it, for all the canoe boats?
Yeah, it is competitive, but we managed to get the first boat in the trial, so we're happy with that. But we have to improve something about the 500.
Well, you certainly look strong today in the 1,000. Congratulations, well done. See you in Halifax.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.
So German crew Hecker and Brendel have secured their position in German selection. Not an easy job to do. They've secured their position on the top of the podium also in the 1,000-metre event. They're ahead of the Poles and the Canadians, the fast finishing Canadians, picking up the bronze medal there. So good result for the Germans, but as they've said, a little bit of work to do on the Olympic distance, the new Olympic distance of 500 metres. And we're going to look now at the 200 metres K1 event. We've got the medal ceremony for the women's 200 metres K1 coming right up.
It was interesting, that C2000. As you mentioned, they probably weren't happy with their C2500 performance, and it looked like they were taking out a bit of anger on that race. They wanted to really take it out there and show what their real performance is there. I think, and they also wanted to do that for themselves. So I think with that C2000, they're going to walk away really happy with that.
Yeah, a really positive way of turning around, you know, a negative into a positive.
Absolutely.
Richard Saruga on the right there will be presenting the medals. He's a former president of the Polish Canoe Association. It'd be nice to see him give out The bronze medal to Marta Walczykiewicz, also from Poland, has been on this particular podium here in Poland many times, including at the European Championships last year, many times over the last decade or so. Right up there in the medals at Olympic Games, World Championships and World Cups over the past few years. But she's going to find it hard to get in the Polish team going forward, because Poles really have got a great setup with the women in kayak, in K4, K2s. They're in a really good place at the moment. In second place, resurgent Portugal today. We've seen a number of medals for the Portuguese winning, so another medal for them. We've seen that in the men's K2 500 meters. We've seen Fernando Pimenta in the men's K1 1000. We've seen Kevin Santos in this event in the men's, and now we see Francisca Laya in the women's K1 200 meters. Top of the podium this time round, as it was last weekend, is the ever smiling Anja Osterman. Experienced paddler, but finding some new form, given that she's changed the way she trains, and she trains with the Slovakian team. She is Slovenian, she's very proud of that, but she's been training with the Slovakians and it's been working really well.
Yeah, she's just burst onto the scene with this K1 performances. Sometimes you have some athletes developing over a number of years, but she's come out of the K2 with Spella and decided she really wants that K1 and just really forcing her way, pushing people out of the way onto that podium. So good on her. She's really making a mark here in this K1.
She is, and a really determined race from her. She does the classic selfie on the podium, but you know, a technique holding up really well under pressure, and also clearly enjoying her racing, and also looking forward to, of course, the World Championships in Halifax, which I'm sure all three of them are. Well, may well see all three of those on the podium in Halifax. We might see them even in Munich as well. We've got the European Championships later on in August, the multi-sport European Championships. And we'll look forward, just a little tip from Anders Gustafsson, the Swede who is head coach of Team Canada.
Hi, I'm Anders Gustafsson. I'm a four-time Olympian, world and European champion kayaker, and now I work as the head coach for the Canadian Canoe-Kayak team. One of the mistakes you do when you start paddling is to not move your legs or how you synchronize your legs. It affects how you move in the boat and how the boat moves. So it's important to time it well and use them right, because it's a strong muscle that can make your stroke more powerful and make you go faster.
Well, a little bit of a tip from the very experienced Anders Gustafsson there, doing a great job in Canada. He's been there for a few years now, and things really moving forward with the Canadians. But also he'll be pleased to see the Swedish paddlers going well. We saw Peter Menning, of course, on top of the podium in the K1 200 meters, but we will have a really good K2 from Sweden now in Dennis Kernan and Martin Natel, and that was Anders Gustafsson's particular event, so he'll be delighted to see the Swedes going well in the K2 1000 meters. As we see Anja Osterman there, really pleased with her gold medal once again. She had one last weekend as well in Račice in the Czech Republic. She can take those gold medals as she goes to into a hard block of training to prepare herself for the World Championships in August. We'll prepare ourselves for a few more exciting races coming up shortly. We'll have the K1 men 500 meters. That's due to start in 3 or 4 minutes time. And then we've got some mixed races in the C2 and the K2. And who knows, those races could well find themselves in the Olympic program in the years to come. They won't be in Paris, but we may well see them beyond that. Think you would have enjoyed mixed racing, David, in your day?
I actually don't mind the event. I think it's got good value to event list if it was to go to the Olympic Games, but we've got to be mindful around when we talk about these certain events, and that we've only got a restricted number of events. So if we introduce a mixed event, we've got to sacrifice another event. And unfortunately, sprint canoeing has already had two places taken off it for slalom. So we've just got to be mindful of where we go and how we do things with our events. I mean, like I said last week, we've got to try and find some more medals for the sport, and then we have the opportunity for the mixed events. I'd really love to see a mixed K2 and a mixed K4. That would be really good.
Yeah, mixed K4 would be really interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It would be really good just to see what kind of athletes the teams would bring in. And it's also good in that for the smaller countries, there's always countries where they've only got two males or two females at Olympic Games, and then all of a sudden you got a K4. It opens up so many opportunities to have mixed events, but like I said, we just need another 2 medal events back in the sport so we can utilise that opportunity.
Well, let's hope someone from the IOC is listening to that.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, of course, you know, that's the problem where if you want to add an event in, the International Olympic Committee say, well, you're going to have to take another event out, and we don't want to do that. And as you've said, we've had so many changes as well, haven't we, in the Olympic programme for sprint canoeing, and not so much consistency, which will be important as well.
Absolutely. I think consistency is key for our sport moving forward. Like the last 3 Olympics, there's always been a change, and I think we just need to settle down. I think right now the balance is okay, but we just need to get back those medals that we have lost so we can add on and offer more to the viewer.
Yeah, and I think we will do. You know, the mixed crew boats does exactly that, and particularly if you would have K4 down the line in the future, of course, where you're going to put the different athletes in the boat, that's up to you as well. And so you've got that element of different countries will be doing different things depending on their athlete, and that makes it interesting also for the people watching.
Absolutely, with every K4, the setup can be mix and match on the type of athlete. It depends on a front seat paddler. You can have an athlete that pulls the boat out, or you can have an athlete that can set it up with rhythm and timing through their stroke. And then the same thing will happen with a male or female. Do you want the male in the front to really pull the boat out and lead it out, or do you want a female in the front seat and a male behind them pushing and supporting? It's just, and also the makeup of the body weights in the boat as well will play a part in it as well, because when you do have that strong contrast in body weight, that does make a difference in how the K4 will sit in the water.
Well, some really interesting things to look at and to discuss in the next few races. But we'll go just back to what was, in fact, Olympic discipline. In fact, it was an Australian, Kenny Wallace, who was the last gold medal winner back in 2008.
Forever Olympic champion.
Yeah, indeed. And I believe involved with coaching in Australia.
Yeah, he was a coach, and he's just moved into Talent ID. So he's currently overseeing Australia's National Talent ID program. So working with athletes from the age of 14, 15, moving it up and then transitioning into the state-based program / national program.
So Kenny Wallace looking for the next Kenny Wallace, perhaps.
I think he would enjoy doing that.
I'm sure he would. Well, we'll see the K1 500 metre event starting very shortly, and just be able to take you through the lineup now. Now, sadly, I think we're going to be missing the Danish paddler in lane 3. I'll talk about that in just a second. Victor Lezinski from Poland will be in lane 1. And then we'll have John van der Westhuizen, Tokyo Olympic gold medalist, of course, in 2. Now, Torben Rask, really exciting young Danish paddler. Unfortunately, he's not feeling too well. Got a little bit of a stomach issue. We wish him well, and looks like he's not going to be competing in this event, but hopefully we'll see this exciting paddler in the World Championships, and you'll be able to join us on Planet Canoe for that in August. Then Alex Graneri from Spain goes in 4. Timon Maro, who looked so strong in the semi-finals and in the mixed K2, he's in 5. Jackson Collins there, the Australian, goes in lane 6. Magnus Sibersen from Denmark goes in 7. James Munro from New Zealand in a black boat in lane 8. And then Fernando Pimenta, he's been a busy man this morning. He goes in lane 9.
Certainly not a lane he will be used to right now.
It isn't, is it? The final of the men's K1 500 metres. Got to go out hard. It's going to be Probably less than 100 seconds to win this one, and we can see 5 from the top of your picture, lane 6, Jackson Collins getting away well.
Yeah, Jacko's had a very strong start here. He showed some really good form, winning his semi-final in the fastest semi yesterday. But as it looks like Fernando just starting to find his feet out wide there. So look to see him pushing through that 300-metre mark here.
Yes, it'll be a really interesting one. It's never quite been Fernando Pimenta's distance, this one, but from lane 9, and it's not impossible to win from lane 9, by the way. He's going well, actually looking in really good form.
Yeah, typical Fernando Pimenta style, really clean, really well connected. Looks really comfortable at that higher stroke rate, particularly after that win in that K1000. And he's really starting to streak out now. He probably feels the fact that he's in front. He's going to want to keep pushing hard and adding pressure.
Yeah, well, interesting. The first 2 splits was lane 9 and lane 1. So Pimenta from lane 9 and Lesinski from Poland, who perhaps has been beginning to fade just a little bit over in lane 1. Pimenta had the early lead, going really well, looking actually quite comfortable. Still got the Australian layer in lane 6, and excellent paddling from Timon Maurer, the Austrian, right in the middle of the picture in lane 5. But Pimenta, we're going to struggle for anyone to take this from him at the moment. He knows he's into the pain zone now. It's going to be really hurting, but if anyone can hold up the technique, he can. He's being put under pressure by Jackson Collins, but he's done enough to get through. Collins takes silver, and the ever-improving Austrian Maurer takes the bronze.
Impressive effort by all those boys. Jackson Collins will be ecstatic with that performance, coming second, but Austrian, it's the first time I've seen an Austrian being on top of on a podium in quite a while, so well done to Austria.
It is. Well, we've had the likes of Victoria Schwarz and Anna Lahachi, the Austrians in K2 for over a decade now. Felix Auschmatz, of course, doing so well in the slalom. And now we've got a new name to remember, Timon Maurer, who's on the podium for Austria here in the men's K1 500 metres. But it is all about Fernando Pimenta. You want to know how to paddle a K1? Look no further than him. He's been listening to Anders Gustafsson about technique, hasn't he? Using his legs brilliantly there. Just ahead. We've done enough to stay ahead of Jackson Collins. And then Timon Maurer, as we said, the Austrian, taking 3rd place. Just wonder if Fernando Pimenta will finish the weekend off with a 5,000-metre race.
Interesting. See what happens. I haven't seen the entry list, but I do know Fernando's concerns around the 5K that there is a portage, so he's worried about that running with the boat. So see what happens.
Every time I talk to you, you say, oh, I'm so tired, and then you come out and you win another race. So what's happening?
I don't know. Maybe the guys gave me the chance to win.
I don't think so. I don't think everybody wants you to win all the time, but you're doing well. You're paddling well. You're feeling good.
Yeah, I think I do very good start, and I try to, in the middle, breathe a little bit, and the last 100 meters, I'm feeling dancing in the boat, but the boat moving also.
Now, Fernando, you still have the mixed race to go, and then you've got the 5,000-meter race to go. Are you going to be okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, because Teresa is very strong, and
she's waiting there for you.
Yeah, she pushed me in this K2 mix, and now it's time to breathe and go.
And the 5,000, how are you feeling about that this afternoon? You got portage as well.
Yeah, it's crazy, but first I am focused in K2. Now just K2. After K2,
you could have 4 gold medals this weekend, which would be incredible.
Why not? Why not? Surprise! I want to do something new in canoeing. Why not 4 golds? I think in one day we never see any athlete with 4 golds. I have 2 right now, and I will go with Teresa to take the 3rd, and in 5K we will see. But with Teresa we go win.
Okay, we'll be cheering for you. Good luck, Fernando. Well done.
Well, he does like to chat, Fernando, doesn't he? It's turning into the Fernando Pimenta show. We've got a bit of his torso there. We've got his teammate, Teresa Portela, waiting for him in the mixed K2, which he's got to do in about 20 minutes' time, but he's always great value and quite an athlete.
Yeah, quite comfortable. Clearly he's done this a couple of times. But interesting to see him changing gear between races. So clearly it is quite cold out there. So changing into a fresh thermal, fresh top. He's going to be sitting out there between the races. He probably won't be doing a huge warm-up, so that's probably why he's getting new gear, because he'll be just sitting there and just resting a little bit, taking 5 minutes, and in this cooler weather, the muscles can freeze up a little bit and just chill off. So that's probably why he's getting warm, dry gear on.
Yeah, now we can see confirmation. Portugal, Fernando Pimenta taking gold, Jackson Collins in silver, Timon Mara, the Austrian, in bronze. And also interesting to see Pimenta just having a gel there, refueling as well. Really, really important. He's doing so much today. I mean, you know, he talked about the possibility for gold medals, but that's going to be a big challenge, isn't it? You better hope this mixed C2 race takes a long time to come down. A couple of false starts and a slower race will help him perhaps prepare for the mixed K2 that we'll see in this session. And then in this afternoon session, a little bit later on, we'll see Fernando Pimenta go for another gold in the 5,000 meters, and that will start about 2:15 local time. So, mixed C2 500 meters coming up. There you can see the lineup. And we've got a few doubling up crews there. Canadians, Chinese have got 2 crews in this one, as have the Poles. So the first of the Polish crew is Aleksander Kitowski and Sylwia Szebninska. And next to them, Bowen Ji and Li Li from China. Should be next to them, but I can't see them at the moment. I don't know whether they're a long way off in the distance or perhaps they're not competing, so we'll just have to check that in the C2 mixed. Well, they should be there. They're on the start list, but can't see them just at the moment. We'll have the Canadians, Connor Fitzpatrick and Katie Vincent, being successful this weekend. Katie Vincent, a good weekend for her. They go in lane 3. Aleksandra Jakiewicz and Dominik Nowacki from Poland in 4. Andriy Rybachuk, Anastasia Chetverikova. Ukrainians, expect something special from them. They go in 5. We'll just catch up here. Connor Fitzpatrick and Katie Vincent. Katie Vincent's had a busy weekend. Of course, they were winners in the C4. And actually, men's K2 just missed out on the medals for Canada, so they did really well as well. And she was also, Katie Vincent, a medalist in the C1 200 meters. So we've seen them. We've seen Alexandra Jakiewicz and Dominik Nowacki. And now we've got Rybachuk, Chetverikova. Expect something special from this. And Chetverikova looked so good, so together, so long, technically outstanding in the individual event. Then we've got Sophia Jensen. Very, very exciting and excited to be here. Sophia Jensen, young under-23 world champion, already a few medals in her back pocket, but she wants another one here. Liu Hao and Sun Mengya from China in 7. Lena Marie Bielik and Fabian Schatz from Germany in 8. And then Yeol Kim and Yelin Lee from Korea in 9. I must say, the Ukrainians, for me, would really be the fancied crew in this event. But you never know with the mixed events. They are developing. We haven't had them for very long, so things do change quite rapidly. So we're underway. This is the final of the mixed C2 500 meters. No China, sadly, in this, but we do have a race. And lane 6 is the Canadians. Really powerful, punchy stroke from Sophia Jensen in the front. We're going to be seeing a lot more of her in the future, I'm sure. And backing her up there, Connor Fitzpatrick. They're going away well at the moment. Diminutive figure of Sophia Jensen, but incredibly powerful. A little bit like Nevin Harrison, the American world and Olympic champion. It'll be interesting to see those two race each other in Canada. And they're leading at the moment, as you can see. Two Canadian crews right up there as well. Connor Fitzpatrick and Katie Vincent. And expect them to come strongly, as Katie Vincent did in the previous C1 events this weekend, as they make their long and efficient stroke work for them.
Sophia Jensen will be ecstatic to be leading this race like this. As you've mentioned, very excited to be here, to be racing, to be winning. Coming across this line in this performance, she'll be ecstatic.
She will. I'm sure she'll give another good interview at the end if they stay in this first position. It looks like that's what they're going to do at the moment. Maybe a late charge from the Ukrainians, as I had expected. But the Canadians really holding up well together, as are the other Canadian crew. Actually, going to look like they take second place. So Canada again on the podium, and Ukraine in second place.
Well, as we discussed, mixed events. Canada will be ecstatic if mixed event managed to get into the Olympics.
They will, yeah. They will indeed, because they'll have a great chance of a medal, and we might see them even if it's not this next Olympic Games. You know, Sophia Jensen, she's only young, so a good chance of seeing a lot of her within the next few Olympics. Well, she was third in the C1 200 meter final a little bit earlier. Katie Vincent was second. Both of those picking up more medals in the mixed event here, but this race was led pretty much from gun to tape, actually, by this Canadian crew from lane 6, Sophia Jensen and Alex Plomto. A great combination, working in harmony, put under a lot of pressure by the smooth running Canadians, 2 lanes to their left, but it was Jensen and Plomto who held on. Vincent and Fitzpatrick in second, and then Rybachuk and Chetverikova looked like they took the bronze. Well, they're just circling their way around towards the pontoon now to come and have a chat with Ross, and let's see their reaction of winning another gold medal for Sophia Jensen. She's had a very successful World Cup here in Poznan. She'll have very happy memories when she returns here in the future, which I'm sure she will. We've got the World Championships here in 2026, and she and her teammate are down with Ross on the pontoon.
Yes, that was so good.
Sophia, I know you said the C4 was fun, but how was that?
I think I say all the races are fun though, but yeah, that was really fun. That was good.
Tell me about doing the mixed race. Is it a bit of a challenge?
Yeah, I enjoy it because I like paddling with the leaks. He makes me a better paddler pretty much.
I could say the same thing.
Yeah, I go out and see one. I'm like, where's the leaks? Why am I going so slow? It's so funny. It's really fun.
Alex, what's it like paddling with Sophie? She's so enthusiastic and
it's definitely awesome. She's a super good paddler in the front of the C2, so I think we complement each other really well in the boat, and the races are just so much fun when you go fast, and when it's fun, you go fast. It's just as simple as that.
Sometimes it's definitely hard to remember that. It's just got to be fun, and then yeah.
I think what's exciting is we're all going to Canada and we're going to see a really great show there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited for everyone to come to Canada. I think it's going to be just
fun to be in the Canadian atmosphere. I'm excited for that.
Congratulations to both of you. Well done.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, we look forward to seeing them on the podium more often. We look forward to the Canadian World Championships, and you'll be able to join us, and we'll bring you coverage of that at the beginning of August from Halifax, Nova Scotia. So just got one more race of the morning to go, the mixed K2 500 meters. It's been a fantastic session. I hope that you've enjoyed the racing so far. We just see confirmation there, the C2, mixed C2, 1:48 for Jensen and Plomto, and then it was Katie Vincent, in fact, and Connor Fitzpatrick in second place, and Rybachok and Chetverikova from the Ukraine in third. So as we see the Canadians just go and warm down, I think they're finished for the day. They'll be pleased about that. We're pleased that we've had your company with us in the second session of today's busy schedule. As I say, one more race to go in the mixed K2 500 meters, and we'll take you through that. And then we've got a bit of a break before we head to the endurance event, the 5,000 meters, which will start around about 2:15. So there's the start list for the mixed K2 500 meters. And what a start list it is. Quite interesting names in there to pick out of Pimenta, Menning, Collins, Maurer and Lahatchi could be an interesting one from Austria as well.
Yeah, definitely. Anna's a really solid paddler, and to line up with Timo, they could really very much throw a cat amongst the pigeons with you. But obviously, with the form that Fernando and Teresa are in, you cannot doubt that they will be definitely challenging for that medal. So the exciting thing about these mixed events, you just don't know how the athletes will gel in the boat, and there's no form. So any result is a surprise result.
Yeah, it makes for an exciting race, doesn't it? We can't just expect that it's going to be a certain crew to win. So we'll just we've got Ruth Vosselman and Albert Vlier from Netherlands in 1. Martin Natel, who's a world champion in K2 in the men's K2 1,000 meters. He's matching up with Melina Andersen in 2. Simon Jensen and Emma Bock from Denmark, there they are in picture, are in 3. Then we've got Teresa Portela and Fernando Pimenta, who's just jumped into the boat, quite literally, from winning the K1 500 meters. Still a bit of lactic acid floating around in his system, I'm sure. Julia Lagerstam and Petter Menning from Sweden. Petter Menning was the champion in the K1 200 meters earlier, so he's in good form. He's sitting in the back of that boat. Then we've got Alyssa Bull and Jackson Collins. Jackson Collins had a really good run out in the K1 500 meters, taking silver medal. And he's with Alyssa Bull. Then we've got the Austrians, Anna Lahatchi and Timon Maurer. They go in lane 7. There they are. Timon Maurer getting himself on the podium of the men's K1 500 meters as well. Then Caroline Farshu and Rasmus Knudsen in lane 8. And then completing the lineup from Spain, we've got Pablo Rosa and Lara Feyou.
Always interesting to see these K2s, how they set up, who's in front, the male or the female. Obviously, it's hard for us as commentators or spectators to see exactly why they set it up, but every crew will have their own reason as to why they want the K2 to be female in front or male in front.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. The Germans, when they won last weekend, basically, it just looked like Max Rentschmidt sort of dragged Pauline Jacks along, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to her, but he really was working on. He was in the front setting the pace. So the last race of the second session here at the World Cup in Poznan, the final of the mixed K2 500 meters. And lanes 4 and 5, the Portuguese and the Swedes are away to a good start.
Yes, as you can see there, just Fernando and Teresa just starting to move through the field. Peter Manning and his partner there still launching out front, but Portugal starting to make its mark.
Yeah, as you spotted, Portuguese got away well. Pimenta in the back there. He's got to be tired from that K1 race, or both K1 races. But if they get a sniff of the win here, they'll be keeping it together. Teresa Portillo is very, very experienced, just trying to keep on top of this, keep it controlled and keep it smooth. And as we get to the halfway point, they're with a lead, but it's a narrow lead at the moment. It's the Swedish crew of Natel and Andersson in lane 2 looking really good as well.
Right now, Teresa will be just sitting here now, just trying to hold a decent stroke rate for Fernando to really push him home, just making sure she gets that exit out really quick, keep it light, so he has that time to really come down and hit that catch.
Yeah, they just seem to have picked up the pace again. Stroke rate seems to have gone up again. Now this is where it's going to really hurt and where we get a little bit of the wobbles when they're put under pressure. They're not used to paddling with each other so much in the K2, but it's still with Portugal. Australians coming good from lane 6. Alyssa Bull and Jackson Collins for our late charge. It's going to be Portugal. And right near the top of the picture, Sweden's from lane 2 and the Australians. Another position on the podium for them. 3rd place for the Australians. Fernando Pimenta, that's 3 gold medals in one day. Good job for him. He needs to do a good long warm down, doesn't he, to get all that lactic acid around his system and process that, refuel, rehydrate, change his clothes, get himself ready. He's got about an hour and a half, just over that, until his next race, which will be the 5,000 meters.
He crossed that line and he was ecstatic with that. You can see he really wanted to get that performance, as discussed with Ross down on the water there. He was talking about winning 4 gold medals, so it has been in the back of his mind that he wants to achieve that today.
Yeah, he was keen and sort of suggesting it was something unprecedented, and so he wants to make another mark there. And really interesting to see, actually, they pulled away a little bit, and certainly the middle phase of the race they really picked it up, and that's quite a big margin from them to the Swedes over in lane 2.
Clearly they showed that they were well connected through the middle. To be able to just spread out in that last 100 means they were really efficient through the middle and well connected, working as a team. And they did look comfortable. They didn't look like they were fighting each other. They looked like they were working as one unit.
They did, and you can see they're delighted with that, are the Portuguese. Now, hopefully, in a little while, they might join us on the podium. You never know what we'll get from Fernando. We may well get another change of kit. We may get an interview, or they might decide actually they need to warm down rather than speaking to Ross on the pontoon. We'll find out in a few minutes, but that will sort of begin to close the session that we've got with you. It's been wonderful to have your company, because we've seen some fantastic races there. We've got Portela and Pimenta from Portugal in first place. Natel and Andersson from Sweden take the silver, and Bull and Collins from Australia take the bronze.
I don't have my
The Australians and Swedes there just congratulating each other. We're waiting for the Portuguese. Here they are. I'm sure they'll join us in a minute for another interview with Ross. Always good for a chat.
Teresa,
another great
I'm
result.
going to talk to you because we've heard so much from Fernando.
I don't think so.
Yes,
was funny. Racing with Pimenta is always a privilege and an honor. So it's a lot of pressure because it's just want to win, and it's good for me have this pressure. So we just start and we went really well.
Tell me, does he talk a lot in the back of the boat?
No. He's like that way, but when he's focused for the races, just focus and don't talk too much.
Yeah, well,
so it was really nice.
Congratulations, we're going to find Fernando. Here he is.
I tell you.
That's three. That's 3 now.
I tell you.
How are you feeling?
So happy because medal with Teresa, it's special. It's the first time we paddling together in the race, and I think it's we do a great show and a great performance after 100 in K1. I think a little bit more fresh. We fight with K2 men.
Yes. No, you have to go and get a medal, and we'll see you in the 5,000. Well done. Congratulations, Teresa.
Well, listen to that. An honour and a privilege to paddle with Fernando Pimenta for Teresa Portela, but also a little bit of pressure as well. She knew that he wanted that third gold medal, and she had to deliver that for him. But she did that very, very well. And as she said, actually, that's a great position to be in, to be put under that pressure and to be able to then deliver the goods.
Yeah, quite interesting feedback to see that she did feel that pressure by him. So obviously shows the type of person he is.
Indeed, it does. Well, thank you, David, for joining me. Thank you to all our viewers for joining us for the second session of the World Cup here in Poland. We'll see you for the 5,000 metres in just over an hour's time.